This is Shelley with this week's edition of the training video for the Putnam County District Library and the Guiding Ohio online grant. Last week we had looked at Google Sheets, and the week before that we had looked at Google Docs. This week we're looking at Google Slides. I have logged into my Google account, and I've got my 9 dots, and this is where my Google apps are located. When I click here and you go down, and you can see that Google Slides is the icon that looks like a yellow piece of paper. When I click on that, it comes up with my template galleries across the top, and when I click on the arrows, it opens up all of the items that are in the gallery, and they're divided up by work, education, personal are all available there. I'm going to go back with my arrow, and you can see below that is where any recent presentations are. And currently what's showing is all of the presentations that I might have available. However, if I click on this arrow, I can see the ones that are only owned by myself, as well as I can see presentations that I might have that someone else had shared with me. And we're going to look at that more right at the end of this presentation when we talk about sharing. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on blank. I'm going to start with a blank. But when we start with a blank presentation, it still always starts up with what is a title slide. And the title slide always has a place to add a title and then the subtitle. If I were to choose and say, oh, I don't really want to have a subtitle, I could click and notice I've got the blue boxes all around my active item there on my slide, and I hit delete and it goes away. I'm going to go back here to the presentation that I had started, and when I click here, I've got I'm going to open up here the first one to my actual first slide. I had that on what was called the grid view. Currently, this shows the slides along the side, and then my active one that I'm working on is the large one in the center. So I've got my Google slide here, and I have a title as well as a subtitle. And then when we go to the second slide, my second slide, when I had made these, I thought of it later and thought, oh, I don't want themes to be my slide 2. I want what I made as number 5 here as my slide. So I'm going to hide this menu down here. Notice down below, I've got what looks like the film strip view, and I have the grid view. When I click on grid view, I can see my slide number 2 is not what I want it to be. I want slide 2 to be what is number 5. And then I want slide number 3 to actually be number 5. So I can move my slides around. And I just find it easier to do it in grid view than I do in the film strip view, only because then I can see all of them a little bit easier. So I'm going to take it back to film strip view. I'm going to click on this, because when I take it back to film strip view, it's going to be whatever slide I have active. Notice I had this, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to take it back to film strip view, and I'm going to see slide 1. Now my slide 2 is about naming my presentation and then the ribbon across the top. So just like in Docs, it always comes up with Untitled as what your item that you're working with is called. So you want to make sure that you always change this. I'm going to just change this to Google Slides. Otherwise, you're going to have hundreds of Untitled, and that makes it a little bit difficult to distinguish what is what. So, and then the ribbon is what you see across the top here, and that is very similar to what you see in Docs and Excel. You've got your text box, you've got your image, you got shapes and lines. Now, the fill color is something that when I click here on my text box, notice this changes across the top because now I have text involved. So I have a lot more options. I have the different fonts, the different sizes, the bold, italics, underline, so forth. I have this fill color is currently a yellow. If I were to click on that, I could change that fill color to something different. And I've purposely put this down below so you can see this is a different text box. So it's only going to fill in the text box that I have active. The other thing is remember when you've got it active, it's got the blue box around it. Now, that doesn't appear when you go to print because that's just to show you that that is what you are is active and you're currently working on. If I click on this though, I can add a border around it. And if I can change the size of that border, automatically it's going to create what is referred to as a black border here in terms of your color, but you can change that color to be something else if you choose. So that's the naming the presentation and the ribbon. Now, when you go to slide 3, it talks about inserting images to Google. Notice out here at the side, I have this themes that had popped up. I can close this. And when I go here to insert images from Google, the reason I wanted to close that, I wanted you to see how it changes because when I click here and I go to insert image from Google, I can go here to my icon or I can go up here to insert, either way, and go to image. I'm going to search to the web. So if I go search the web, it's going to come up with what I had searched for the last time I was using my Google slides, and I was searching dog. So if I go to my dog here, then we've got all these different images that pop up. When you click on an image, it puts a little check mark and I can click insert or I can simply drag it over and it's going to put that image there. Now, just like with docs, I can change the size of an image. And remember, we always want to grab from the corner because that doesn't distort your picture. If you don't grab from the corner, it's going to make your image look distorted in terms of the appearance of it. Kind of makes my dog look scrunched out to the side there. I can also add, if I would choose, I could put a border around my picture as well. And I can make it all different widths. With my dog then, what I wanted you to notice is how there's really an interesting way how you can do what's called mask into shapes with an image. I'm going to use this same image on slide 4. So by clicking on the image, making it active, I can go to edit and copy, or I can do the Control-C and copy. And then what I'm going to do is go to slide 4, and I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go to paste, or I could do Control-V. And it's going to paste that image in to the next slide. Now, to do what's called the mask into shapes, you go up here by what is the crop tool. The crop tool is what would allow you to, like, if, say I wanted to cut off part of this and I didn't want as much background in it. But instead of doing the crop tool, what I want to do is I'm going to go to the arrow beside it that's masking an image, and I can pick different shapes. And I'm going to pick this one that's called like the cloud bubble thing. And notice now what happens is I have my dog, and it puts it into like what is called like a speech bubble. So I can make it look like my dog is talking in his speech bubble. And if I were to go to insert text box, I could draw my text box. I just clicked and drag, type in the word hello. I can shrink this up if I choose to, grab it in the corner. Notice it changed to an arrow, and then I could put it down here next to my bubble, and it gives the appearance like the dog's saying hello. So the next slide talks about themes. Now, when I go to themes, again, I got my Google search is still over here. I could click and close it. Or if I just go here to themes, it's going to automatically change what I'm working on over here on the side. I've already started with one theme for my slides, but I want to show you how and what happens when you pick a theme, because when you pick a theme, it automatically changes every single slide. So now I have a consistent look throughout my whole presentation with similar colors and so forth. The next slide talks about with diagrams. And again, I'm going to go to this slide, and I'm going to notice if you go to insert and go down to the word diagram, what's going to happen again over here on the right hand side, it's going to give me all the different options for a diagram, and say I wanted to click here, and I'm going to insert this diagram. Is what I'm going to use. Now notice my diagram's kind of maybe going over here. Maybe I want all that information over here. I don't want it to cut into this area. If I hold down my shift key and click, it highlights, because each one of these is technically like a different image. So if I were to remember how I could take the dog and move him. If I click here and move, it's going to not move everything. So I'm going to undo what I have done there, and I'm going to hold my shift key down. I'm going to click, 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 and grab the whole image, because each one of these is a different image. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to arrange and group. So now what I've done is I've made this one big image. So then I can move it over to the side and move it around, because I have a grouping. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of these, because I think what I did was I had put it inserted it twice. So that's why I'm having multiple times. But if I click here and I were to click on this and hit delete, I could notice what's happening is it's treating that not only this is a text box. So these are text boxes. The blues are image. And so what's happening is when I hit delete, it's deleting the information in the text box. So I got to make the text box active to be able to delete the text box itself out. Now if I click here, I can move this up, and I could actually change the size, and it's going to change the size of the whole. But I'm going to have to watch, because again, we're talking with text. And so when I start shrinking things up, I'm going to lose some of my area in my text. The next slide is slide 7, where we're looking at links. And when you want to insert a link in, you would go to insert, and you would go down here to link, but notice it's grayed out. It's grayed out because you can't just insert a link without having it attached to something. So what I've got here is I had already created this one. So now when I click, this is a text box, and when I go insert and I go link, I now have it so it's no longer grayed out. So what I've done, I'm going to go to the little edit tool here, and I said I wanted my text box to say Learning Online with Putnam County District Library, and then this is the link. So when I say apply, what happens now is when I click on this, it's going to take you out to the web page that was created when we had to take all of our teaching and learning with the grant online. So what is happening is every week couple times a week, we're adding information here in terms of resources for parents, for students, for adults, for different activities, different places to learn, for information concerning COVID, so forth. So that's what that's doing. That's taking you out. And then I'm going to go back because I wanted you to see how I can do this with a text, but I can also do it with an image. Right now, all this is an image of the map of Ohio, and this is Putnam County. So if I wanted to make this image a link, I would have it highlighted so it's active right there. And I'm going to go to Insert. Again, I can go down to Link, or I could click and I could go to this, what is the, kind of looks like a paper clip, Insert Link. And then what I would do is I'm going to type in my PCDL. Notice what happens is I have the Putnam County District Library website that comes up, and I'm going to say apply. So now what happens is when I click on this, it's going to take you out to the Putnam County District Library page. So those are just two ways that you can add links onto a slide with text or with an image. Slide Master, what Slide Master does is when you are using Slide Master, if say you decide that you want to change the font of your entire document, or because for some reason you don't like the way it appears, or say you want to add a logo on to your entire document, or in terms of every slide, what you would do is you would go under Slide and go down to Edit Master. And what this is going to do is you see all my different slides, and then the very top one is the master. So anything that I do on this slide is going to change all the rest of them. So I'm on the very top one, and I'm going to go to Insert. And this time I'm going to do an image, but instead I'm going to do it from my computer. So if I do upload from my computer, and I'm going to pick this screenshot that I took of the logo stuff with the library, click on Open. Now notice it's put that onto every single slide. Now it's big across the whole thing. That's not what I'm going to want, but I'm going to shrink that up. And then what I can do is I'm going to put that down here in the corner. And now what you see is it appears on every single slide. The logo does. I can do the same thing by going to Insert, and I can do slide numbers. And I'm going to say, yes, I want it on, and I want to apply it to every slide. So now what happens is I'm click back here and you can see I've got my logo and I've got the number. This can be helpful when you're doing a presentation because you can tell at a real quick glance. I know I've got 10 slides and I can look at this and say, oh, I'm only on, slide number 8 and I only have like 2 more minutes to get this presentation done. So I would know that, okay, I got to get through my last 2 slides fairly quickly. Number 9 is showing transitions. Again, it's across the top here. When I click on transitions, just like with the other items, when I click, it changes over here on the side, and I can click and I can pick all of these different types in the way they appear. And if I were to just click on this, notice right now I've got this icon change. It's only going to be on between slide 8 and 9. However, if I click on this apply to all slides, then what happens is notice that icon appears and that's telling you there's a transition there. It's a very good idea. You want to be consistent and when doing a presentation, stick with the same types, same transition throughout. When I click on apply to all slides, I can also click on play so that I see what it looks like and what the appearance will be for that. And when I say stop, then it will now allow me to go back to my slides. And then the last slide is number 10, where we talk about sharing and making copies and publishing. So sharing, when I started out, remember how I had the different types of slides versus my own versus all of them versus not owned by me. Sharing is just like with Docs and Excel, where you can share with other people. They can work on the same document as you, the same presentation as you, and change it. You can both be working at the same time. When I click here on sharing, if I know someone's Google address, I can put that in. If I don't know their Google address, I could go copy link, and what that does is it's putting that to my clipboard, and then I can go out to my email and email them the link, paste the link into an email and send it to them that way. Making a copy is always a good idea. If you're going to say, I'm going to share this presentation out and I want to know that I have the original, and just in case someone maybe accidentally changes something that I didn't want to have changed, I would be able to go back to my original copy. So if I go to File and I go Make Copy, then I can make a copy of the entire presentation, or just if I wanted, for some reason, certain slides. When you want to do Publish to the Web, it's the same thing. You go under File, and then Publish to the Web is down below, and you can publish by the link, or if you want to get an embed code, you can get the embed code, and then you can share that out. And then the last thing is when we talk about with printing, if for some reason you wanted to print this out, we go to print. But what happens with the slides, just like with if you're doing something in PowerPoint, well, the first thing before we do that is you can save it as a PDF, just like you can with other with docs and so forth. But remember, when you do a PDF, it's making it as an image, so you cannot make any changes to it if you save something as a PDF. But if you're going to print, then you can also, with slides, you want to make sure that you know that a slide is you're going to have, in this case, I would have 10 pages when I would go to print, because it's going to only print one slide per page. However, I can change this, and I could go, for example, I could go to 4 slides. So I would have 4 on the same slide. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're printing something like this, you would really want to watch, because especially when you've got these nice amounts of coloring, that you actually maybe want to print in grayscale or black and white. So that is the basics of Google Slides. Hope you found this information useful, and we will see you next week.